Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be starting a hardcore world in Minecraft while reading some Reddit stories along the way. So I think our immediate goal for right now is probably going to get some resources so we stay safe and some tools. All right, let's get on to the first story. Am I unreasonable for asking my boyfriend not to stick chopsticks upright in his rice? I tried to post this in the relationship advice community, but got an error message saying that it should be here. I'm Japanese, 40 female, and in my culture, sticking chopsticks upright into a bowl of rice is considered disrespectful because it's traditionally done at funerals or as an offering to the deceased. Today at home, my boyfriend, 36 male, who is non Japanese, stuck his chopsticks vertically into his rice. I politely told him that it's considered disrespectful in my culture and asked him if he could lay them across the bowl instead. He immediately said it was silly and refused, saying they'd fall off. Bro, they will not fall off. Anyways, I told him they wouldn't, and then he said he wasn't eating Japanese food, so it didn't matter. I explained that it isn't about the food, it's about how the chopsticks are placed. He responded that we're not in Japan, and that he wasn't changing what he was doing because he thought it was silly. Okay, so he's already said that it's like silly twice. We're like 4 sentences in. This is not a great sign. I calmly said I was only asking for a small favor out of respect for my culture. He then sharply replied, "Fine, I'll just use forks from now on." So I took the chopsticks away and handed him a fork. What upset me was how he immediately dismissed my request as silly, instead of making such a small accommodation. I got quite angry and said, "You're just like all the other white people who love anime and collect figures but don't actually care about Japanese culture." Woof. Okay. I get where they came from, but that one's gonna land hard. He was shocked by that and later told me that I was petty, cynical, and intentionally trying to hurt his feelings. I gave an example of whenever I have dinner with him and his family, they say grace before eating. I'm not religious and I didn't grow up doing that, but I do it anyways because I know it's meaningful to them. He responded that religion and culture aren't the same thing. Oh, that's such a good counter from her. And his response is so weak. Like, sure, they're technically different, but it's the same idea. You do small stuff for the people you love because it matters to them. That's the whole point. He also told me that during couples counseling, our counselor said we shouldn't have expectations of each other. Wait, what? They're already in couples counseling? Over chopsticks? I told him that's not why I was upset. I'm not angry because he didn't meet an expectation I had. I'm upset at how he immediately dismissed my request as silly and refused to make such a small gesture out of respect for my culture. So Redditors, am I unreasonable for asking him to not put chopsticks upright on rice since we are not living in Japan? Not unreasonable. The ask was nothing, like lay the sticks down. He just didn't want to be told what to do by his girlfriend, so he dug in. That's really what this is about. The chopsticks are barely even an issue, like to be honest. The white people part was a little sharp, but honestly, I get it. And the counseling thing is what I'd actually be worried about if I were her, you know? They're already seeing someone, and the fights are about stuff this small. It's not looking great. I'll be honest, the spawn is kind of goated. Working myself, like copper armor, and I'll be able to get a good bit of food, honestly. Look at that. Pretty good. I can even get some copper tools. Anyways, on to the second story. Am I unreasonable for telling my guest it's better they don't come to the wedding after they complained about our wedding too much? We are getting married in less than 2 months. Our RSVP deadline was a month ago, and everyone responded our RSVP, but one couple. We really had to hound them to get any kind of answer from them. Yesterday, they sent us a message telling us they are free to come. But alongside the reply, they sent us a long message how cumbersome and expensive it is to attend our wedding, and how tiring the weekend for them will be, and how they probably retreat to their hotel room for most of the day and stay for the ceremony and part of the dinner, but retreat to their room for the rest of the festivities. Wait, what? Who sends that? You either come or you don't. Don't send a multi-paragraph essay about how exhausting you find the idea of celebrating your friend's wedding. We were taken aback because we are paying for everything. Food, drinks, parking. We are also paying for everyone's accommodation. A very nice lakeside hotel. The biggest expense would be to pay for their gas for the 4-hour drive to the wedding and back. They have a car. They also complain about the dress code. We have black tie, but they both own clothes that would fit the dress code, so they wouldn't have to buy new ones anyways. But they complained about that too. Yeah, honestly, I think they just want something to complain about. They're not even mad about a real problem, they're just mad in general. We read the message and basically told them that if coming would be so tiresome for them, It's better not to come. We said that we aren't mad at all if someone can't make it or doesn't feel up to it, and there are no hard feelings, but basically uninvited them. I'll be honest, like that's a baller move right there. Not gonna lie. I know it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things budget wise, but each guest cost us around $600, and I didn't feel like spending $1,200 on people that don't even want to be there. They are now angry at us and refuse to speak to us, and we are thinking that maybe we were a bit harsh. Were we unreasonable? No, you were not unreasonable, bro. You weren't harsh. You took them at their word. They sent a message that was basically, "Ugh, this is so much effort." And OP just said, "Okay, we'll save you the effort. That's it." And uninvited them, bro. That's awesome. The funniest part is that they're mad now. Like, what was the goal of that message? Did they like want the OP to beg for them to come? Like, what? Did they want like a thank you? Thank you so much for coming to our wedding. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you came to our wedding. Like, I don't know what they were expecting, I'll be honest. Whatever they were expecting, it was not being uninvited. That's so funny. Anyways, I'm glad the OP saved $1,200 on them. Hey guys, so I'm just trying to look for like a place to place our first ever base, I guess you could call that, but uh, nowhere really looks good, so I might do a little bit of exploring. Am I being unreasonable for expecting my son's girlfriend to acknowledge us in our own home? I'm 45 female. My stepson, who's 23, and his girlfriend, who's also 23, live with my husband and I part-time. Stepson has continued his week on, week off schedule. We've been doing this since he was a kid and we had split custody with his mom. About 4 years ago, he met his girlfriend and she started spending time with him at our house. He was driving her home really late at night and we told them to just stay the night rather than drive home late because we didn't feel was safe. One night turned into two, then three, and now she basically lives here with him for the full week, every other week. The problem is she doesn't talk to us. She walks into the house and goes straight up to his room and stays there. When she does come downstairs into the kitchen or family room, she avoids eye contact and will only speak if spoken to, and only in a few words. We sometimes make food for them and there's no thank you. Okay, that one's a little rude. Even if you're shy, a thank you when someone makes you food like takes half a second. Then again, this is from the perspective of the parents. Like we don't know how much they're exaggerating or how much they're leaving off, so we can only go by their words. And obviously from their words, this is ridiculous. Like, just say thank you, man. Stepson is always talking for her and explaining her behavior. Initially, it was that she is really shy and self-conscious. She's still in college and Stepson claims she needs a quiet place to study and rest because she is one of many kids at her home and it's chaotic. We have had multiple conversations about this odd behavior, but nothing ever changes. We hear her talking to Stepson and their friends when they come over, so she will talk to others, just not us. The last straw was last week when we asked them to wash her car that had bird poop and cobwebs on it. Hasn't been washed in months. And we overheard her complaining about being asked to wash their car. Cobwebs? That's crazy. Like, has it been like sitting on your garage for months? How does that even happen? I'm guessing it's like the wheels or something. This is a little bit confusing. Are we unreasonable for expecting her to be normal in our home? It's like we have this really awkward roommate situation. My husband doesn't want to ask him to leave because he fought for so long to have equal time with his son, but this situation is not normal and is affecting me and our other kids. I feel like I'm losing perspective on this and I'm asking myself if we are being unreasonable. The tension is awkward and I hate feeling this way in my own home. No, it's not unreasonable. Basic bar of hey and hi when you walk into the house you're living in for free is, it's not a big ask. The thing that stands out to me though is 4 years. This has been going on for 4 years? That's a long time to let this become normal. I feel like the window to gently correct this closed like a while ago. And that was just like what everyone has agreed to put up with, which sucks. I also think that Stepson is a huge part of the problem here. Like, he's the one running the interference for her, making excuses, speaking for her. He's basically enabling the whole thing, at least from, this stepmom's perspective. If he told her, hey, you gotta at least say hi and thank you when they make food, she probably would. But he's not, so she's not. I don't know. It sounds like she just doesn't like them and doesn't want to be there, but her boyfriend does. So she comes anyway and, hides upstairs. Which honestly, if that's the case, maybe have her not come every single other week. Like nobody's forcing her to be there. Like anyways, hope they can actually talk to the stepson about it. But honestly, like we don't really know how far the problem has gone, right? Like we don't really know how much the stepmom has actually talked to the girlfriend, which is crazy. I mean, like they say that they talked to her, they said that, but like who in their right mind would be talked to like, hey, you should at least say hi to us, or like, look at us when you're walking in our home, and then like you talk to them and saying like that's weird that you don't do that, and then they would still keep not doing that. That's like absolutely like psychotic behavior. At least from my perspective, there's a little bit of doubt in this story, a little bit of like, are you telling the truth? Like, yeah. But, that's just how it is with every, like, Reddit story. You kind of have to take them with a grain of salt, and you can only take in the perspective of a very, biased side of the argument. But that's not what we're here to argue about, is it? But, yeah, not unreasonable. Okay, guys, I'm literally so mad since I can't find a good spot. So I transitioned over to finding like a villager, and can't find that. So I'm like seething right now in the background. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop complaining. Let's get on with the next story. My being unreasonable for refusing to help my husband clean for guests. I run a home based daycare for 12 hours a day. This requires a lot of cleaning all day long to keep the daycare part of the house clean, along with cooking and playing with children. So by the end of the day, I'm exhausted and I have very little energy to clean upstairs, which is the private part of the house that only my family and our guests use. Because of that, I don't particularly enjoy having guests over because I have to rush to get everything clean upstairs too. Whenever a friend or family member of mine is visiting, my husband dramatically complains that I'm doing too much and that I shouldn't be rushing to clean because they're just your friends, they don't care. He'll refuse to help because you're just stressing yourself out for no reason. Well, my husband announced on Friday that he was having friends over Saturday morning. I said that I had a really stressful week, so I wasn't feeling up to guests, and he insisted that it was his guest and not my problem. Suddenly, the private space isn't clean enough, and he started trying to assign me and our kids spaces to clean while he was waiting to switch the laundry, i.e. playing video games until the laundry was done. Okay, that's pretty funny. I refused. I told him, oh, don't worry, your friends won't judge, and took the kids and myself out for a movie. He said I was being petty and I should have at least made the kids help like they helped me. My mother says I should have helped, and I probably embarrassed him because he wasn't able to get things clean enough on his own. I think he's a grown-up man and he should figure that out. Am I being unreasonable? I really don't know what the preamble was with the beginning part of the story about you owning the daycare. I feel like that was very unneeded to prove a point. Like, if he was being lazy, there was no need for an excuse for you to also be lazy. Because like, what's his excuse then? Like I feel like this whole story is just made out to make him look bad. But then again, dude, I feel like I'm growing jaded, like reading these Reddit stories, because I feel like I'm an empath and I can put myself in both shoes. Like if I was the husband reading this, I'm like, why aren't you including this part, this side of the story? Why aren't you saying this part? Like there's just a lot of stuff that a biased party wouldn't put in their story, because obviously they're biased and they want to make themselves look good. Like it would almost be psychotic to like make yourself not look good in a Reddit post to ask everyone else on the internet to see if you look unreasonable. But always take these stories with a grain of salt. But we're analyzing this at face value. So based on what she tells us, and from what she tells us, not unreasonable. He set the rule, she followed it. He's mad because the rule turned out to be inconvenient for him. That's his problem. Like he wasn't even cleaning while he was demanding she cleaned. That was crazy. Like he was just playing video games. Must be playing PoE. But hope she had a great time at that movie. Also, her mom needs to sit this one out, honestly. It's not that big of a problem. Anyways, as you can see, there's still no spot where I've decided to put my house, and also no villagers. I'm more focused on finding a village right now, since I think having a villager trading hall this early into the game would be really powerful. But I'm still kind of mad. I'm still really mad. I feel like I've been like running around for almost an hour trying to find this village, and I just can't seem to land on a spot where it would be standing. I don't know, maybe I'm just unlucky. What do you think, guys? Because I'm actually like scratching my head. I feel like I'm an idiot, like trying to look for this village. Am I being unreasonable for telling a random stranger that I don't care if they can tell my child's gender? So I was in the grocery store with my 4.5-year-old son and 18-month-old daughter. My son is very obviously a boy, however my daughter is still in that stage where she doesn't have much hair, so it's kind of hard to tell. She was dressed in a blue tank top with bows and pink stripes, and it said princess across the front of the shirt. Very obviously a girly outfit by societal standards. While in the checkout line, this lady, approximately mid-50s, remarked on how cute my little boys were. I thanked her and told her that the youngest was actually a little girl. The lady then told me that I should style her hair or put bows in her hair so that it's obvious to other people that she's a girl. Whoa, that's a little crazy. I mean, the baby's 18 months old. That's like a year and a half. Also, she doesn't have hair. Like what? What do you want? What do you want her to do? Get a wig? What's happening here? I told her that I really didn't care what she or anybody else thought because nobody needs to know my child's gender at the end of the day but me. She went on to tell me that I was rude and had a few other choice of words for me, which I ignored until the point where she called me a bitch and I told her to piss off. Whoa, okay, it's getting woof. It's getting very heated here. The cashier kind of giggled. The following day, I was at work and one of my colleagues, who also had a small child around my youngest age, and I were talking about the whole encounter, and she said that I was, unreasonable. So, am I unreasonable? What? Why did she call you unreasonable? No, your coworker is wrong. This is crazy. I bet you that coworker of yours would be the type of, like, lady who's also, like, in the line and would back up the lady who told you to have bows on your kid. Anyways, there's a edit here for this story. Edit, for the people lacking reading comprehension, I was not offended by the initial misgendering of my child. I was offended when the lady snapped back rudely and told me that I needed to dress my child differently for complete strangers so that they can tell. Then she decided to call me a couple names and curse at me, which is when I matched energies. That's crazy. So people were in the comments were getting mad at the OP. It's absolutely wild to me how people who don't pay someone's mortgage, put food on their table, and contribute to any of their household resources think that they have the right to dictate how somebody lives and what they do. Especially when it doesn't affect them at all. True. There's another edit here. Edit, part 2. Holy heck, I didn't expect this to blow up like this. Wow. Thank you to those being kind. And to those calling names, good luck being so bitter in life. Or those thinking they had me in a gotcha moment by saying if you don't care, then why did you correct her? It was purely a reflexive speech, and while I know that small chat in public isn't the most common thing in every country, where I'm at, in the southern United States, it is. This interaction was akin to when you're checking out at the grocery store and the cashier asks, "Hi, how's your day going?" And you respond with, "Good. And you?" Even though neither of you truly gives a damn and the response isn't real, it's just being polite. That's all this was. You know, reflexive conversation where I was polite until she wasn't. Yeah, so essentially she's just like most people where she's from. It's just an automatic thing for her to say that the baby's a girl. That's all. She wasn't really looking for a fight. And, you know, a lot of people were saying that she was right. The other lady got really upset and started name calling. And then the mom matched that level of animosity. It pretty much sums up the whole situation. Also, if some person at the grocery store starts giving you unsolicited advice on how to raise your child, I think it's okay to tell them to leave you alone. Like what? I mean, who wants to take parenting tips from a complete stranger in the checkout line? Like, are you good? Just let them buy their groceries in peace. Also, by the way, guys, I've been looking for this treasure for like the longest time. I don't know what it is today, if I'm like being dumb or something like that. I feel like I'm a complete idiot and I lost all my gamer knowledge, or like my status is the best gamer in the whole world. But I'm just like blanking on this. I don't even know where to begin on finding this treasure. As you can see, there's a map here that says, hey, X marks the spot, but I just can't wrap my hand around it. Like I need to like brain blast my way out of this like Jimmy Neutron, like activate all my neurons in my brain. But I don't know what it is today. I'm like having a hard time playing this video game. Someone should take away my keyboard and mouse, man. Like this is actually absolutely embarrassing. This is one of the most embarrassing performances in my whole career. I mean, hopefully I'll find this treasure soon. I'll just like brute force my way out of this by cavemanning it and digging the whole block. Or like digging the whole area out. Hopefully there's something good. Because I knew there was a trick about chunks. You might have seen me like mess with my settings there in a bit before this. But man, this is an absolute like disappointment of a performance. It's like Spain versus Argentina, man. Okay, so this next one is going to be a little bit of a different one since it's a hypothetical. And it might be the last one since it's a pretty long one. So it says, Would I be unreasonable if I dropped out as a bridesmaid a week before the wedding because of what happened at the bachelorette? So, I'm a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding. She just had a bachelorette party at the groom's family's cabin for 2 nights. It started off okay, but as the attendants got more and more drunk, the racism and anti Semitism started coming out. For context, everyone else in the wedding party is white. I am mixed Jewish and Filipino. My part of the party was to put on a tea party in the afternoon. I spent weeks hand decorating a tea set as a wedding present. Weddings are huge in my culture, and I wanted to share that joy. I bought and cooked a bunch of my cultural food, but the basic stuff even Western food people like lumpia, baked desserts, and skyflakes with cheese and meat. I, of course, checked with the bride and MOH beforehand, and both of that would be okay, with the bride saying she loved lumpia. I was so proud of it, and it looked beautiful all set up. But immediately, some of the bridal party started making the ew ethnic food faces. POC, if you know, you know. One of them chased around another one with a sweet bun, laughing about how weird and scary it was. It was literally bread and cream. I sent pictures of my setup to other friends to see if it was something I did wrong, and everyone said it looked amazing. Okay, this is absolutely insane. I don't even know how it got to this point. Like, how did you not know that they were actually racist? A lot of it is probably gonna be like them being ignorant and oh my gosh, something different. This is so weird and scary. But you can kind of tell, like, it's not just them being drunk, because having poison in your system is definitely gonna make you a little bit more honest and yeah, a little bit more open of what you think, right? So I'm wondering if there were any signs before this that you could like call them like a racist and anti-Semitic, because this is definitely like that type of behavior. Like, you don't just do this like without thinking. Like, especially since it's food. Like, there's a lot of weird foods out there in all cultures. They weren't making fun of you directly, so I'm thinking in their minds they weren't doing anything wrong, but they were still making fun of your culture, which is still very much wrong. Okay, there's an edit here. 'Cause I need to be precise. People did say thank you, including the bride. They said the setup was very pretty. It was the reaction to the food by some of them, family of the groom, who also made the Auschwitz jokes that I was describing. That being said, almost nobody spoke during the tea party portion and blamed it on being tired. The bride and friends did not say anything about the reactions of the other girls. The main feedback I got is that I was clearly a witch because my tea put everyone to sleep. It was a hibiscus, rose, mint, and calamansi mix. But oh well, maybe that food isn't for them. I moved on, but then the racist joke started. The party started on Juneteenth. You can imagine the jokes that came out of that. Then anti-Semitic jokes about the Holocaust camps and more. This is a direct quote. I say a lot of Nazi and Holocaust jokes for someone who isn't racist. I was trapped in a boat with them when this started happening. Oh my goodness gracious. That's basically in line of saying I say a lot of racist stuff for someone who's not racist. But like, bro, how can you not like hear yourself when you say that? That is absolutely like insane behavior. I would jump out of the boat and get away from them, bro. I can already tell you right now, you will not be unreasonable for like just dropping out from being the bridesmaid, especially if you're not feeling it. Like, would you really want to be in this person's like celebration? That's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I've never been a bridesmaid. Later that night, as I was grabbing something from a room to then leave, the main perpetrator said to someone I considered a close friend, "I was worried you'd be offended by the Auschwitz jokes because you're German." That friend replied she wasn't offended. I spoke up, "Well, I might be offended because I'm Jewish." I got up to leave with my stuff and the girl said, "She's going back to Auschwitz." My friend, the bride, everyone laughed. I went outside and cried. They all saw me from the window when they all came to eat food. Not a single one of my friends came to check on me. The vibes continued along that line, and I felt like I was in Jewish Asian version of Get Out, stuck in a giant home with a bunch of racist white people. But honestly, the fear from it wasn't the worst part. It was that not a single one of my friends said anything. I'm speechless. But that is crazy. That's the only thing I can say. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm not seeing any seeing any biased parties here in this story, but it's still pretty crazy. Like, at this point, I wouldn't even call them your friends or anything of the sort because they're not your friends. I don't know why they invited you if they're so against like other cultures, or at least non-Aryan cultures. I think you should just get away. Just drop out of being the bridesmaid. I don't even know how you're friends with these people. Like, were you being the oblivious one? Like, how did it get to this point where you're stuck in a boat with them and you're basically being their like personal like jester to like sit and make fun of you? I don't know. I then was in a 4-hour car ride with one of said friends slash bridesmaids on the way home. She spent the last hour of it lecturing me about how she's someone who can be cordial around people she doesn't agree with, but not everyone has that skill, especially when it's personal, and that I need to put myself in other people's shoes and see that they have positive intentions and more. For context, this cabin was 4 hours away and I have pretty moderate disability. I was using 110% of my energy for this and had no energy left by the end of it. I pushed myself to extremes for these friends and the bride, and it was reciprocated with laughing at anti-Semitic jokes at my expense. The wedding is the next weekend. I can barely see from the migraine I have, and my legs are struggling with walking. I don't feel it's worth it to hurt myself for someone who couldn't bother to stand up for me, or even check in on me after. All my friends of color agree with me, but this was my high school friend group. I grew up in a very white town, and I also feel guilty, like I'm letting them down. I'm not quite sure what to do, so Reddit, please help me out. I mean, I feel like I've been saying it this whole time. I think you should drop out, block all of them, delete all of them from your contacts. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. If you live close by to them, that sucks. That really sucks. So it's kind of like, weigh the pros and cons but at the end of the day, I don't think you should be friends with these people. Like, obviously, if you live very close to them and you have no like options to move far away from there, then yeah, you're in a tougher spot. But so maybe like just weigh your pros and cons whether to do this or not. If you do this, maybe like slowly but surely like drift away from that friend group, because that's not really a friend group. I don't know the dynamic here. I don't know why this came out like this. Have you never hung out with them before? Like what? Okay, but here's another edit here. I was a history major, which makes this whole thing even worse, so I have to add context that I didn't realize I missed until the comments. The friend in the car is the friend who said she wasn't offended by the Holocaust jokes to the person. She was asked by the jokester because she's German and lives in Germany. In the car, she did say that she's absolutely against the concentration camp joke and that she feels guilty she didn't say anything. The words "I'm sorry" never came out of her mouth though. But then I brought up the other stuff with the food and racist comments, and that's when she went on a tangent. She also said she saw the racism but told me in those situations you just have to ignore it and choose not to be around those people ever again. As she knew there was racism happening, including towards me, and didn't say anything or check in on me, I will be choosing to not be around her again. I don't know. I can see her perspective though. That's basically what I said. Like, do you really want to confront a boat of racists when you're feeling like you're the only one there? You already felt isolated. Do you actually want to antagonize everyone in that boat? That seems even more crazy to me. Like, I feel like that's main character behavior and you're asking to get it, because I feel like people who've experienced racism would relate to how powerless that feeling is. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, I need to stand up to the power. No, like if you do anything, like you fear for your life, like if you're absolutely like experiencing racism and like a big group of people, because you're the minority, like you're fighting an uphill battle. You can't just like summon the power of friendship and then like magically let these people like change. Like, that's not how the real world works, especially when you're the only one in that boat. So I get the friend's perspective. I don't know if you're deluding yourself, but that's my take on the situation. I don't know if I'm going to get canceled for that. I also told her repeatedly that I didn't want to talk about this now because I was so physically done, and she said, "This is my car and I am driving. I don't want to be uncomfortable and have this tension here. We are talking." I have a vocal cord disorder and my speaking is limited, so I didn't say much, and I didn't want to get dropped off on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. I told her she crossed a boundary she can't come back from though. Understandable, you don't want to talk, she wants to talk. I feel like her wanting to talk shows initiative, that she wants to fix this friendship, but I get the point of view of like, just like, you're done with it, you're done. So, that's clearly your choice, even before like posting this whole story on Reddit. So yeah, hopefully you can live with that decision. Power to you. I did say like just move away from that friend group. They are not your friends. There's more to the story. 2. The people making the racist jokes were the siblings/cousin of the groom. My friends were the ones laughing along and not saying anything. 3. I've been long distance with these friends since high school. The friend in the car with me was in social justice club with me in high school. There was not signs of this behavior before from either this friend or the bride. In fact, the bride went with me to an anti-ICE fundraiser party earlier this year, and we had a lot of fun. I have never been shy with my opinions, especially as someone who studied history. This was the first time I was hanging out with them around a bunch of other people. In reviewing these comments, I have realized that they may be not racist with me before, but didn't stop or say anything about racism when it happened. This is in fact racism. That is a key difference, or non-difference, maybe is what she meant. I am also more white than not. I'm ethnically Jewish, but not religiously. I often don't feel like I have a right to be upset about these things because my other family have gone through worse. That's something I'm working to unlearn, and this was definitely some exposure therapy to that. Why didn't I say anything at the party? Because I was in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by drunk people making racist comments at me. I have survived violence before, and know that sometimes keeping your mouth shut is what needs to happen until you're in a safe space. Lastly, I will not be going to the wedding. I need to get off screens because my head is killing me, but your comments and support helped settle me emotionally. I will decide tomorrow how I will inform the bride. Good on you, man. I support it. Don't go to that wedding. Like, I feel like it's very dangerous for you, and especially your mental. Like, going to a bunch of like people that you see as racist, and they are racist, is pretty crazy. I am still surprised how like you haven't picked up on any of these cues that they were like this, and how it took like this long for you to figure this out. But yeah, that might be the last story for today. That might have been a little heavy of a story, so hopefully you guys didn't mind that, to the people that are still awake. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the Reddit stories that we did today. The Minecraft world is looking pretty barren, not gonna lie. I did find a little bit of spot. We found a village, and we're gonna look for like some resources in this cave, and hopefully we're in a better spot for next episode. I don't know how often I'm gonna be doing these things because they do take a little bit to make, especially because I'm having like insane back problems right now. I'm like old, guys. So look forward to next episode. Hopefully I'll try to make the next episode like faster, just so I can have a little bit more videos up on this channel. So don't wait too long. All right, guys. Peace.